when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore.
So here we go. Everything's all set up. This is the first episode of the inaugural episode. We're doing a lot of inaugurations this week.
Especially this week.
Of Blah Blah Land. We are your hosts. I'm Cam. I do the beat.
Sorry.
I do lots. Oh, you're fine.
Ugh. Oh, wait. I can't hear you guys now.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Well, you look beautiful. You're great. Can't hear me.
Oh.
You definitely don't look like you just stepped out of therapy, so that's good.
Sorry, you guys. My life is not necessarily. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
Okay, good. Fine is good.
I could be a little brighter, but I can't do anything about that. This is the inaugural episode of Blah Blah Land, our little chitty chat show. You know the part in you good liberals out there should listen to the NPR Politics podcast, and at the end of the week, they do Can't Let It Go. This is our version of that, but it's gonna be geared probably a lot more towards creative minds and that kind of stuff, and also. We're not afraid to be proud liberals.
Are you guys there?
Yes, Reagan, we can hear you.
Hear you.
Can you hear us?
Wait.
She's out there somewhere. But
It's satellite.
yeah, thanks everybody for joining. So, I guess I can wait till. I apologize. We all have animals, so
Yes.
if anybody starts barking, that's okay. You can try and mute yourself. That might work. I don't know if it will on your end, but we have. If anybody in the Twitch chat decides to start chitty chatting, where is it? Where is it?
Chat.
Where's the chat? Nope, that's not it. That's not it.
On my TV, I can see the chat.
Well, I have in the actual layout. I guess if anybody's actually. Do I need to? Oh, I see what happened. Okay, I gotta fix that. There's always stuff I'm fixing.
You don't know until we have to do it.
You don't know.
And then you wrinkle out all the keys.
Bam.
Okay. Hi. I think. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is
Yeah,
this
can you hear us?
okay? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Got my
So
Oh, I see.
fancy.
now everybody's
Yeah.
gone
Is it a
again.
microphone? Nice.
Yep, I
Which
got
mic
my
can plug into my
microphone.
phone?
There we go.
Yeah, this
Okay.
one can plug into my phone, so it's
And you have an Android, right?
yes.
Huh. All right. Pros and cons.
Yes.
Okay, everybody's here.
We're here.
So, if you guys want to introduce yourself so people can hear your voice.
I'm Reagan Wallace.
And I'm Ami Khan.
I'm Cam. I don't have I do have an IMDb, but I don't use it. So, good luck finding me.
Ripple, go to the blue sky.
Yeah, go. Oh yeah. So Ripple. So we are the creators of Ripple, which is a progressive, what I'm calling a resistance filmmaking company. And by company, I just mean a group of people that want to make stuff. Maybe one day, once we start making some money, we can be a real company. But for now, we're making stuff because, well, it's the only way we can keep ourselves sane. As
Yes.
as we are creatives, there's only so much we can do, and we want to use our voice, so we're doing that interactively with our audience on Twitch because we don't really like social media, what it does to our brains and to our society, especially now that the Zuck is zucking for sure. So so yeah, welcome to Blah Blah Land, our little chitty chat show. I had an idea because I was my girlfriend's coming over in a little bit, so I was frantically in between shows. I was frantically cleaning the house, and I was like, "Why is it that creative types are so messy?"
I was literally just Googling how to hire a professional organizer.
Mm-hmm. Like
They're very expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm extremely messy. Well, there's different types of organizers. I've just as I was putting my makeup on, I was learning about professional organizers, and some are I do it with you.
Oh,
and then others are I do it for you. So
like
there are different types of organizers. I would prefer to have an I do it with you, so that and some of them do it's really just a lot of hand holding, walking you through basically.
What's her name?
Yeah, you sort of start to realize, like, when you're going through a stack of papers, what to keep, what to file, what you need. Maybe you need a paper shredder, maybe you need a recycling bin, right? But like, I'm just yeah, I know that it was, I mean, sorry mom, but she was never like the most like neat person. The thing is, I she was quite messy, and there were always, like, piles of things. It was like organized chaos, which is, that's the thing, is that it's not that I can be pretty unorganized, but it's not that it's a perfectionism actually can show itself up as someone who is very messy, because it's like, for me, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it at all. And I have a really hard time just I'm just going to clean off this desk, because in my mind, that desk is not enough. There's so much more that needs to be done. And doing that one little desk is just that's nothing. That's just a desk. Like, look at what I have around me. Like, and so I have this thing where it's like, and to even start doing that desk would mean that it has to be the right time, the right place. I have to have the right things. I have to have And it's like, it's more so, I don't look like a perfectionist. It's not necessarily the, what one would call a perfectionist, but it's my mom's perfectionism that I know she had that kept her a lot from doing the things that she wanted to do perfectly. And also, uh, it being like it's a priorities thing. Like for me, it's like I have to me, in the moment, I have other things I would much rather be doing than cleaning. But yet also, I really can't do those other things that I would like to do as efficiently because my mess around me is so distracting. So
I am
that's my
so
rant.
I am so the exact opposite of the first part of what you said. Like,
Yeah.
uh, so like, I have a dry erase board calendar back here with all of my gigs, supposedly with all the gigs of the month. It has not been updated since September.
Yep.
But
That's how I am. Yeah.
for September and a couple of months before that, I was doing really good. And
Yep.
then I just get back into the swing of how things used to be. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I guess I'm not the type of person that keeps a calendar.
I have a Google Calendar. Eric and I have to have a Google Calendar that's shared between the two of us that's like on our phones. I can't have a physical calendar like that. I can't. It's not, like you said, I will keep up for it. I'll keep up with it for a little bit and then it falls apart. And that's what I'm saying. I'm really not an organized. I need help being like, I have our Google Calendar, which we share, but even with that, like the other day I had a lunch meeting with somebody and Eric came in here and he was like, aren't you supposed to be meeting with Becky for lunch right now? And it was in 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to jump up and get ready, but it was in the Google Calendar. It was there. It wasn't like I didn't, it's just,
It's also a visual thing. Like for me and Google, like I'm the same way where I'm trying to be better with that, with the whole Google Calendar, because it's a blessing that we can do that on our phones and together. But
yeah.
I visually can't, like, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's a visual issue where like it's like color coding or just the way the technology's formatted. I can't see certain things. So
Yeah.
I have to. I haven't done it for a while as well, but I've always been a planner with like an actual physical planner from since high school, and I used to be like very type A about the planning part, but my room would be a mess. But I knew where everything was.
Right. That's my thing is
my full life. So you guys I resonate with what
yeah,
you're talking about.
if I don't see it, it's not there. And that's why it's really hard for me. Like Eric, me, Kylie, none of us, we don't put things back where they go. Like we don't have, but nothing has a place because if we put something away, we don't see it. It's not there. I will rebuy deodorant, all kinds of stuff because I'll be like, I'm putting it in my drawer or I'm putting it in my cabinet. But then if it's not on the counter and I have to maybe move something to see, it's not there. So I have everything is on the counter. Everything is on the table. We have storage. We have shelves and drawers and cabinets, but all of that is filled with stuff we don't use and we don't use it because we can't see it. So it's
my aunt and her husband, her whole family. She has like 3 kids, I think. We went over there for Thanksgiving, and I brought the Dr. Peppers because I'm Dr. Pepper Cam, and
yep.
They are very liberal, very cool. They live in this beautiful house from the 80s. Beautiful in that it looks like it's from the 80s, and it's not really beautiful. It's just nostalgic. But lots of wood paneling, and it has that intercom that every house had. Anyway, it doesn't work, of course. Anyway, I know they're creative types. They're a librarian, and then he's like a tech guy, but he's still very creative minded. They don't drink soda, and they're like, "Oh, this is the most soda we've had like all year." So, knowing the types of people that they are, going off of what Reagan was saying, where there's no place for it, and then if it's out of sight, out of mind. I stashed 3 Dr. Peppers in various places, hidden places around their house, in places that aren't like super obvious. But that are still like, if you were to look at like the wall, you would notice there's a Dr. Pepper behind the router, the internet.
That's funny.
Router. But I guarantee. Oh, and actually, we're actually using that location on the second when we go to film the Cynic.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna go back there, and I guarantee you, there's also one inside of the cat castle. Um,
Oh, a cat castle. Yes.
I guarantee you,
Yes.
all of those Dr. Peppers are still gonna be there.
That's great.
Because they're not the type. It is like something about the creative brain. If it's not in front of you, then you don't even. I have to force myself. I'm really good with dates. Like I'm really good. Like okay, I have this shoot going on 3 p.m. on Wednesday or whatever, or this or that, and I know that's 2 weeks out, and I know when the bills are due. That I'm really good at keeping track of all that. My dad was always really good at like showing up at a meeting exactly on time, no matter where you are. And he's like, I guess we should probably leave about 3 minutes from now, and then he gets there exactly on time, even if it's across the state or something.
Yeah.
That's magic.
And my mom was very, very analytical. She ran my dad's mural business, and she was very similar. She was the analytical type, that calendars and meeting, and like she was the type that had all of the stuff written down and like everything. So I'm a mixture of those two, but for some reason, like I want to be better. I want to be that type that has the calendar in front of me that can do it, and it's helpful to have that.
Yeah.
My
mom always had a big one of those big table calendars, like a big paper, and she would have everything was color coded. She had highlighters, callbacks were a certain color, first calls were a certain color, auditions, like all that stuff. She had my coaching was highlighted in a certain color, and she had everything, down to a, but I'm just, and lists. She was so big on lists. My dad and I still joke about put it on a list, make it a list. Cause but I don't know. I never my other thing is I never went to like regular school. So I didn't I never developed that habit of trust me, taking notes on sides, like scripts and stuff, like making notes, character notes, whatever notes on my work. That was one thing, but like notes, like in class or I was not, so I never learned how to take notes while you're listening to something. I didn't, or how to I knew how to be organized for my auditions and stuff, but as far as just my regular everyday life, I'm not.
Real quickly, Reagan, for the people because this is the first time any of us are being introduced to our community.
Yes.
Give a little bit of background about why you didn't go to a regular school, all that kind of stuff.
I was born in Dallas, Texas. Started acting professionally there around the age of 4. And came here to LA when I was about 8 for pilot season for the first time, and sort of ended up working. Pilot season, yeah, it doesn't really exist anymore so much, because we would be in the middle of pilots, or getting ready for pilot season right now, which I guess, I don't know, I think some people still, I don't know if it still exists, but pilot season is when networks basically all of the pilot episodes, which are the first episodes for a show that you may or may not ever see based upon if it is picked up by the network or not, is when all of those episodes are made and cast and shot. And then come around April, May is when, sometimes March, people start finding out whether or not their shows are picked up for a run, whether it's how many episodes or a full season or whatever, and or not. And your episode that you booked and did and shot and was treated like a series regular, like it was going to get picked up, it's over and it's done and you never get to go back. So yeah, I came here for pilot season originally when I was 8, but I did not book a pilot. I booked a couple of independent films and ended up sort of going back and forth between Texas and LA for the next few years. And I worked a lot in television, in primetime TV. I was uh, in a lot of shows that aired in the early 2000s on your regular networks like NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, and all that good stuff.
And it was seasonal because of the pipeline of production. Like all the
Right,
shows would start up because they're like, well, in 6 months this has to be on television, so they'd all start up
right,
at the exact same time.
right. You had a fall schedule, and then you had your mid-season replacements, and you had television was a seasonal thing. Uh, so it was there was always a big bustle in the air. There was always like just this excitement that was around pilot season, and every little boy and girl from all over the country would come to LA, specifically the apartment complex, the Oakwood, which is very it's commonly known that the Oakwood, amongst certain circles, and there have been documentaries made about the Oakwood, specifically one called the Hollywood Complex, and
I have to watch that. I did not know
it's
that.
oh yeah, it was on Netflix for a long time. I'm not so much of a fan. I mean, I don't think there's ever been anyone that has no one has ever actually really known or captured what this place
Yeah.
really is.
It's like Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick covered it pretty well, I think. But
Yeah, yeah.
that was the early '90s, so it's probably different.
I don't really know what you mean. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's probably not as many masked sex parties.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, that's my thing is I really hate that depiction of what this, because I mean I know it's in jest, but it's I have a I mean I don't know. I have a problem with the way people depict just um oh God, I don't know how to explain it. It's a magical place. I grew up in a magical place. This place, this Oakwood Apartments that I grew up in. It gets a lot of bad flack, and it gets a lot of negative. I mean, yeah, there were. I mean, I grew up next to Rick James, who lived in the apartment right next door to mine, and he had a very fond nickname for me where he called me Britney Spears motherfucker. And I was 15, and yeah, is that healthy? Is that cool? Is that great? Maybe not. Maybe it does. Maybe some of it does deserve the negative. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in a weird mood today, you guys. I don't know. I don't know if that's like I'm in a weird mood in my life in general right now. If that. So I don't know.
Thank you
Oh
for being
God.
here, though. Like I know there's a lot
I
of
hate
people
even
listening.
saying that. I regret even saying that. It's okay.
You should know.
It's totally okay.
I don't know.
Well, going off of
We're all going through love
Yeah, I know. We are. I know.
in some way or form,
going off of
Yeah.
our theme of or at least I don't know, I just threw it at you guys, but our theme of the creative mind from the perspective of creatives. I've actually noticed it's interesting because you guys as actors are a lot more like from my perspective on a personal level, a lot you'll have the same flavor of artistry and emotionality as like a musician might or a painter,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
the things that you're experiencing are fuel for the thing that's the art that's directly in front of you. And a lot of the people that feel, I don't know, heavier, feel more, feel bigger. They're musicians. A lot of them are actors though, and I've always found that kind of interesting.
Yeah. David Lynch had from what I've heard in interviews and listening to actors who've worked with him, he was obviously a director and he was a painter, but he didn't like to talk about his films because he felt that the film itself was the talking and he was not good at speaking with words. So he used film as his way of communicating. But the actors that he had in his films would always talk about how he not just respected, but viewed the actor not just as a piece of his vision or as sort of a tool to use to tell his vision, but saw them as a whole separate artist in themselves who was sort of, their work in his project was their own project in itself. And so it was sort of, he had a really collaborative way, like Kyle McLaughlin.
I don't know how to say
Yeah, it. I never say his name right. He talks about how David would sometimes, when he was like after a take, he would come to Kyle and just stand next to him, and they would look out into the distance as if they were looking out over a cliff at something, and then David would just walk away. And that was his way. He said in that energy that he was conveying to Kyle, he was saying something to him, and but he understood that actors were an artist just like he was, and he could communicate with them in ways that he couldn't communicate with other people. And so there is, I've always loved calling myself an actor, but I've always called myself an artist over an actor, because I view I've always viewed this, I think, sort of in the sense that, like, I mean, it would take away from the word if everyone did. I mean, I think everyone is an artist. I think every single person on this earth is an artist, whether or not they see that or not. I think some of us are just more obviously in tune with that in the world, and obviously some of us are just more suited to have that as our main thing, and we understand it more, and but I think that, like, down to, like, I think Eric and what he does, and I think there's an art to that, and I think there's an art to everything, and I see everything as art, and I think that I sort of always have.
Well, I was watching something, and it wasn't their quote, but I forget who the quote was. But they were saying art is an expression of intention, and so, like, whether it is whatever you're intending to express, be it code for some experience, or to do make a system more efficient, or politics or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, why not?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you can look at everything. Like, I mean, this Waterloo can has art all over it, and the actual design of the can could be considered artistic I mean, there are so many, there's just, I everywhere I look,
Art is life.
Yeah.
Art is subjective, so you can't say one thing is not art, because it is everything, really. I mean, it's just philosophical at that point, but it's true.
That's what I'm saying, right? You start to get to a point where it's like, wow, yeah, Right.
But
Right.
it's true. Like the door frame engineering is an art form. Like there's a lot of different types of art forms for sure. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It is interesting. Oh, so I pulled up. I asked Chat GPT if there have been any studies done about why creatives tend to be a little more messy. Um, and they said
The brain.
one notable study from Kathleen Vose and PhD from the University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management. You know, the Carlson School of Management. Everyone talks about that.
Yeah, that one.
Working in a messy environment can encourage creative thinking. In her experiments, participants in a messy room came up with more creative ideas compared to those in a tidy room. The theory is that a messy environment helps break conventional thinking patterns and allows for more innovative, out-of-the-box ideas. I don't know how much I agree with that one, but then
Yeah.
I was like, well, what about like our brains? Because that's like a visual. Okay, well, that's
Right.
literally like I don't know, that remote's in the wrong place, so therefore I'm gonna go write a novel. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
This one's talking about how our brains, creative types brains, function differently. It says we have a higher. This is kind of what you were saying. We have a higher tolerance for disorder and ambiguity, which allows our minds to think more freely. Or maybe that's chicken and egg. Our minds think a little bit more freely. Therefore, we have a bigger tolerance for disorder. Because
Right.
that's the same thing for me. Is whenever there's the kitchen or and I have animals, they make
Oh yeah.
one of them's a husky
Yeah.
and they make a terrible mess. Like whenever there's like dog hair on the floor, I'm like, I mean, I could take care of that, but
Right.
in the moment,
Robots are for.
it doesn't bother me right now.
Right.
Like I have
That's
a tolerance
exactly
for it.
right.
Well, you're living in
Right.
your space too. You know,
Yeah.
there's a difference between like that's what I always talk to Matt about or other people's like. Yes, I do need to clean up because I've been just living in my space for a while.
Right.
And it's embarrassing to have friends come over and be like, even though they accept me for who we are and I am,
Sure.
it's still like I'd still like to have a little bit cleaner than it is, and that, even though guests come over, kind of thing.
Right.
You still are living in your space, and that is your space, right? And
Right.
So just find that common, like that.
Well, we've
moderation,
all had the same
balance.
experience, and we know how perspectives work. But you'll go over to someone's house, and you're like, oh my, like it's
Right. There is a difference.
but it's because they get blind to it. You know, they live
Right.
in it.
Healthy situation.
Right.
Like,
So
I used to date a guy that had cat vomit in places that he wouldn't.
Oh.
Ugh.
Oh, see, that's
Keep writing. He had to keep focused.
right.
Like that's not healthy for you or for
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're gonna get sick.
borderline something else that
Right.
is not healthy and he needs to deal with it. But
Right. Right.
that's different. We're not talking about that.
No, yeah. There's a difference between like someone who is living in filth and then someone
Bullshit, yeah.
right, and then someone who is just a little, and I am guilty of being that person. We all are, and that's the
We all
problem.
are.
Is that like I know, like I have always like when I go into someone's house that is like orderly and like looks like it came out of like a magazine shoot, you know,
Yeah, that I don't trust
which
them.
that exists. Those people do
It's
exist,
true.
and you're
It's
like,
true.
and it is. It's kind of like I don't know, like I want to ask them like, what do you do? Like, is this like how do you keep it this way without like you must have no free time
And your
or
mom's a
your
killer.
and your yes, and your free time is literally because if I were to literally keep up like, and they say like, sure, if I could start with a clean slate and have like a perfectly clean, like, okay, you've started with a perfectly clean bathroom, a perfectly clean kitchen. It's like I've had those things so many times, and I go, I'm gonna keep it this way this time.
Because the upkeep is
And-
what makes it easy.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Every
But
day
that's
you
the
live
thing.
little and it's nothing. And it's like, no,
But
that's not
but
realistic in this book.
yeah, because for a little while I'll do the little by little, but then
Yeah.
like you said, about your calendar. You start to just go, I don't need to go get a paper towel and a thing to wipe up this thing that's right here. Like it's water. It's going to sit. But then that water forms a little stain on your counter. And then you've got this little like ring on your and then you've got a bunch of those. And now you're just like, oh my God, this has gotten to be so, but it's not important. Like, does it really hinder my life in any way? No. But it's like, I still just wish that I did have that, like for me, I am more creative. Sometimes I wonder if even being like I feel like I am more creative when my space is orderly and neat. I feel like I have more because like when I sit here and I try to write but I look around my apartment and I'm just distracted by what a mess it is. Like it puts me in a negative mood. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it just makes me go, ugh. Like, and I almost feel guilty for sitting down and being creative because I should be up cleaning my space. And then I start beating myself up and I'm like, well, if you would have just got up an hour earlier, you could have had this space tidy by the time you did this. And then, but then I find myself oversleeping lately. I mean, that's my thing is that I'm trying to be so gentle with myself, but also it's like, and reminding myself that we are all, I mean, there are certain people out there that are very happy right now, but I mean, for those of us that are right, those of us that are feeling it right now emotionally, it's like I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it's like it's harder to, it's harder to get up out of bed. It's harder to, and that's just not even with this. I mean, it's just everything that we've dealt with in the world. And as we're talking right now, I'm getting notifications about evacuations for new fires. So I don't know what's going on with that, but
it's in Santa Clarita area where I used to live over there, and I remember those areas having issues on the ridges all the time.
Yeah, and the wind is really bad.
Normal, but the winds are back, and so it's just something to be aware of. But it's another thing to add to the pile of literal shit that we are feeling, and depression has set in naturally from just that. Anything else in life that it's just a blanket of depression for a lot of people, at least in LA right now. It was in the country as well, obviously.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, if you're an empathetic person right now, you are feeling it.
Well, I think actors, if there's gonna be an industry that should be empathetic, it's actors.
You would think. That's our main job, is to live in other people's shoes and tell their stories.
Right.
That's our main job for telling stories.
Yeah.
And like it,
and to like as an actor, for me, I view I mean, obviously there are emotions and things involved, but when you're in a scene with someone or multiple people, you're playing ball with someone, you're keeping a ball in the air, you're connecting with someone, you're knowing that when you throw that at them, they're going to catch it. And you have to be able to, whether or not you're looking at them or not, it's not like in, sports where, it's a whole other type of, I'm throwing this to you and you're catching it. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it is.
And when you're in a scene with someone who's good at playing ball or not, from the get-go, based on their ability to receive and their ability to feel you. And that's and you have to be able to do that no matter if you're put in a scene with someone you've never met before in your life. And I feel, I mean, this could be maybe going off onto another topic, but I feel like right now in the industry and just where we're at, I feel like that is being lost. I feel like the craft of acting itself and what it really is, and I may be sounding like a boomer right now, but I feel like I feel like it's being lost greatly, not only just because of self tapes, but Because I'm telling you, when I'm sending in my self tapes, that is not me doing a scene with someone.
No, of course.
Right. Right.
It's me, and sometimes it is like if I actually, right, but if I actually, I'm saying like the actual scene, like even if it is a scene between me and one other person, there's still just so many other, like, you're not, like, if I have I don't know, it's just, it's not the
You're not
same
there.
as, right, yeah.
Not as present.
Provided for you. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I do try, and I have golden tapes sometimes, and I'm just like, wow, this is a really good one. But that whole thing of I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to act with this person, is just gone. And I know that there are still acting classes out there that are, but I don't know what they're,
Yeah. What's the connection with that though? Like, how many? I'd be interested to. I don't know if we have that data, but it'd be interesting to see, at least looking back at this time frame, of like how many people are booking versus
well, that, but I
taking
think there's
classes in
a lot of
craft.
classes are geared towards, well, there's just
learning stuff.
like,
Yeah.
because there are so many people that are working now that have never worked before, and their only information has been gained from going to an acting class.
That's what I've been feeling too, and I'm glad you brought that up because, again, not to sound like a boomer, but just our own experience of stuff. It
Yeah, I'm
feels
just
like,
speaking from my own.
Yeah, for sure. Because you have to tell it because
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's like it's almost like they're not like acting has not the craft itself, but the industry of it has changed so dramatically that they're not even looking for actors who actually know how to trained actors
No.
act that who play different characters. I'm not saying
Right.
character actor,
No.
even though that's
No,
amazing too, of course, but just like
right.
actually acting in different
Right.
parts of life and characters of different places and backgrounds that you are not ever a
Right.
part of in real life. And they're looking
Right.
and they're only cast, not only, but mostly casting off of just realness, just real
Yes.
people.
Right.
And that's
How?
an actor now. And then like that's not
Right.
an actor. That's
No.
that's a real person reacting to stuff that they have no training with. And that's, I mean, if it works for you, which it is clearly for a lot of
Sure.
content, okay, but that
Yeah,
let's clarify
teaching
what that is then.
teaching acting has become, and I'm sure there are tons of acting teachers that could tell me another side
Sure.
of this, but from what I've seen and from what I've gleaned and from what I hear just from talking
Yeah.
to other actors, and it teaching acting is, I mean, first of all, everything is so fast that they're just trying to teach people how to be as natural as you can teach someone how to be in front of a camera. Can you say and do all of this the way that a normal person would? Great. You can act now. Where there's, I mean, there's so much more to it.
There's
and
no exploration there.
Yeah, and there's no, like, the acting classes that used to exist of like the working actors here in LA, where it's like, you are two actors who book things sometimes, but you're both still in this class to keep your chops up and to keep, it's like nowadays people are spending more time on their social media content, what they can create to put out there. And I just don't see there being any real focus on the craft.
Yeah.
And just exploring what that is, because people don't need good actors anymore.
That's what I was gonna say is how much. 'Cause I want to sound like a boomer, guys. Is I was
Let's just embrace it.
Back in the 50s and in the 90s too, when the indie movement was happening. Not to say that these kinds of films aren't being made, but the films that were like popular were explorations of ideas. They still had the big blockbusters, blah 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 blah, but now it's only blockbusters. Like now it's only, there's no, and that's a different kind of acting, and you can bring in the craft, obviously. Marvel has the most talented indie actors on the planet, and then they become A-listers and all that stuff. But like, that's not what the craft is. That's not what the artistry
Right.
is. And those films just those projects just aren't out there. And if they are there's like the A24s. Those are cool, and
Right, but
that
even
kind of
those are
stuff. But
starting to get like the last showgirl, Gia Coppola. She's Gia Coppola. Of
hmm
course, her little indie movie that they
hmm
shot in 21 days on 16 millimeter,
right,
is going to get
get distributed.
into the
Yeah.
festivals and into the, yeah. So, it's like, yeah, they're still making those gritty little movies, but they're still but to get distribution and to get in the festivals and to get, you've still got to have an in.
Be a Coppola.
And right, right. And like even like Brady Corbet's film, The Brutalist,
hmm
um, have you read about his use of AI?
I saw the editor. They what was it? They had to fill out some buildings because they didn't have enough money to build these buildings or something like that.
No, it has to do with the acting.
Oh, okay.
They actually used AI in the Hungarian speaking parts
Hmm.
to round out the. I haven't looked into it as in depth as I would like to, but that is what the acting category of him being nominated for Best Actor is now being questioned, because they're
Oh,
saying this is the first time that an actor is being nominated when there's pieces of his performance that are not his.
interesting.
Ooh, interesting, but also infuriating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, and
Yeah,
Brady is
right.
defending it. Brady, is defending it, saying this is not, his performance has not changed. That has nothing to do with his
I need to see
performance.
this.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
love
watch.
that
I'm
news.
gonna watch The Brutalist tonight.
Hey, me too.
Um.
Claire and I are going to the Alamo to go see it.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
nice. Yeah. Well, we will be watching it here at home.
We do need to
Um.
have like a movie corner. You still got to talk about the substance,
Yeah.
but
And
So
maybe
much.
we can just segue into that.
but that is real quick. The way that I had heard, the thing that I hadn't heard that about the Hungarian. What I had heard was they didn't have the budget to build out like some huge. It's a movie about architecture, and
Yes,
they couldn't
yes.
finish building out this like cityscape, so they had AI, and they couldn't afford. It's still a low budget indie movie,
It
so
under 5 million.
yeah, yeah. So like they couldn't afford to have like a whole CGI team come in and do a thing, so they just had AI. I was like, I understand that. Like as someone that has no money, and AI is a great tool for those
Yes.
for us like that.
I
Uh,
have, yeah, yeah,
when you
yeah,
become Coca Cola and you're switching out, you have the money
Yeah,
to like
exactly.
hire your
right.
people, but
Yeah, that was
So
true.
yeah, so that's well, this is a whole other topic, but I've been reading also about the use of AI in regards to climate,
hmm.
and
Oh
actually
yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, keep on.
one search on ChatGPT actually uses something like some insane amount of energy that something else uses too.
Yeah, just read about this.
And yeah, and I do. I use ChatGPT, I use AI for things, but I'm having a little bit of a I'm having a little bit of a conundrum, just morally, ethically speaking. I love the things, like we just used it just now. I love the little things that we're able to do with it. And it is inevitable. It's happening.
It's a
But
phenomenal research tool.
it is. It is. Some of it isn't accurate.
Yeah,
So we do
it's
need to be
true.
careful, because a lot of things you do read on there, like, I don't even know if that's true. The thing about the thing that you just read, like
hmm.
the Institute or whatever, I don't take any things I read on it
Right.
for certain. I always have to go do my own Googling and looking around and things, even when Chat
As you
GPT
should.
tells me something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to be careful about using it and actually giving it, like, sure, it's fun and it's useful. But I
Well,
want to be
and it's
careful
not
with
going to be
it.
long before, you know, the CEO of whatever, not ChatGPT because that's open source, but the app that
Right.
everyone uses for ChatGPT, he or a new CEO comes in and buys the company and is like, well, I can't have all these liberal
Yep.
information,
Right.
all these liberal facts out there. We gotta start skewing it because that kind of crap
Right.
happens.
And that's the other thing is the new we're just talking about everything here. Um, ownership and actually owning like Netflix, Amazon, HBO, all these things. Like I just bought um, Wicked on Amazon Prime,
Mm.
but they can change that copy that I own at
Yeah,
any time
you're
because
only
it's not
leasing it from them.
right. As soon as they decide that they don't want that movie on their platform anymore,
Mm-hmm.
I don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why DVDs, man. Keep it
Yeah,
nice.
right. So I think we could start to see a resurgence of
I hope so.
people buying hard copy things and because like I've said on those VHSs that I have that are back at my dad's house that I need to go through, I own all the original copies of the fucked up Disney
Mm-hmm.
movies, the ones that have the erection and the
Lucky.
sex in the clouds
I used
and
to have those too. I lost them in the
yeah,
internet, but that's a collector
yeah,
item now too.
right. So you have all those, but these days,
It's
because
all
if you go
censored.
watch any of those Disney movies on there now, those
Yeah,
things aren't there.
totally.
So it's like
Oh, there's a
I
ton of not a ton. There's at least a trio of insensitive early '90s Disney movies. Jungle to Jungle.
oh yeah,
There's
oh God,
one that was like an African tribe one where the family pretended to be an African tribe, but it was all in their
yes.
backyard, something like
Oh
that.
Yeah,
I forget
the tur something. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't imagine that's on Disney Plus, but it exists out
Right.
there on some VHS
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes. Yes. So, I
Speaking
don't
of
know. We're in
movies,
a
Reagan.
yes.
Yeah, let's get back to that. Let's segue ourselves
Oh
back
yeah.
to that segue.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they say, our film Camera Obscura is
Which we just did the table read the other
which we
day.
just
Go
had
to our
our
YouTube. You can find it.
yes.
It was
That was
great.
fun. That was great.
It's so the quote unquote feminist message, all of that. I think it's great that like The Substance and The Last Showgirl are two films that are being celebrated right now that are um, essentially the same theme of an aging woman who is, well, we're all aging all the time. I hate that word. A woman who, I mean, we all know it's been told so many times before, and we all know it. The trope of the woman who's past her prime, who has been eaten up and chewed up and spit out by the people who used to love her, and it's the same from The Substance and to The Last Showgirl. So spoilers, if you haven't seen The Substance, everyone, you can just la 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 blah blah blah
Come
blah
back.
blah.
You can blah blah land it.
Yeah. But so The Substance, we all know what I mean. There, we know the thing. They take the substance, a more
Cheers.
perfect, hotter, younger version of herself, is born essentially from her. And they are the same person, but they share this time of being a young, hot version of themselves and the older, you know, real version of themselves. They
Grown.
split it up, right? They split them up into 7 days at a time and all of that. And the balance has to be respected, no more, no less. Otherwise, bad things happen. And guess what? Bad things happen.
Oh,
But
bad things happen.
but and I also, I will say, I had everyone, and I know Ami had the same one. Every man that I know under the
Men
sun asking
specifically,
me,
that was the
begging
biggest
me to
one.
see it and asking me if I had seen it. And it was getting a little annoying because it was like, I guarantee you now that this many people who have asked me to see it, it is not going
It's
to
gonna
live
live
up
up to the
to
hype.
what.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. And it didn't, but I loved it. Okay. And let me tell you, I loved it for all the reasons that I should love it. Now it doesn't seem like I love it because I didn't get a chance to actually love it in the sense that I wanted to. But obviously, favorite directors, Kubrick, Aronofsky. There are many homages to them in this film, which, in my opinion, it got a little past homage and got a little more towards I'm just
Showy offy.
stealing. Yeah. I felt, but hey, you could say that about Tarantino too. I just happen to like when Tarantino does it, it's like that's the whole point, and so you're like it. He gets away with it because
He also
I
integrates
don't.
it into the plot.
That's right, exactly. So there's that. Now I will say that I'm not saying that her use of it wasn't great and visually awesome, and I appreciated the homages, and I thought they were well done. Um, but my big thing and is so when your message is women are treated as nothing but meat and look at their tits and look at their ass and look at their tits and isn't it horrible? We should be more than our tits and our ass and the way that we look, and vanity is terrible. And but Margaret Qualley's tits and ass and all, I mean, I just saw her, in my opinion, I saw her being exploited in the same way that this movie is trying to say that
Interesting.
women are exploited. And to me, this film is just perpetuating, in my opinion, the same. I just didn't see anything that made me be like, yeah, this film is really speaking a really unique message in a unique way. I just felt like it was, and I know this is probably a hot take because I know there's like, I mean, it's being celebrated, and I sound like I don't like it. I do. I like the film. I do. I did. In fact, I think I think it's a really important film. I think it says a lot, and I think Cronenberg homage. I mean, like
No, for sure.
I could name like a bunch of things that she's actually. I mean, the face on the blob was like so Cronenberg. But I guess I just kind of felt like, well, another movie for creepy men to go see and be aroused. That's just kind of how I felt.
So, like,
But
a good example of, because I'm not totally on like there with you, but I do remember
yeah,
watching it, and I was like, especially during the when she's back in action and she's got the new show, the younger version of herself.
yeah, the pump it up
The
montage
pump
was
it up
just like,
montage. I was like, okay. I mean, I got
and
it
it was
like
like
15
more than we
seconds into
needed.
it. Like it was,
Yeah,
and I get that the tone of the film is like it's like a big long music video essentially. So like
yeah,
that scene in particular was essentially a music video, but it was several minutes long. It felt like, at least. So I was like, it. I definitely got it within a few. Like, okay, they're sexualizing her, and she's into
right,
it, and whatever.
right.
Whereas, for example, Requiem for a Dream, not to be film nerd, film
No,
hipster
but that's
101,
yeah,
during the I don't even want to say it. During the climax.
ass to
Yeah,
ass.
thank you. Um, that makes you feel gross. Like,
Right.
it
It
makes
wasn't
you
like it,
feel
no.
horrible.
Right.
And
It wasn't like it
no, there was
wasn't
nothing
seeing
sexy.
that in a sexy way.
And yet,
No.
in the guys, the men in the audience were still loving it. You know, it was it's the exact same message.
Yep.
Not about television, obviously, but like it was the
No,
exact
but
same message, and you did not feel good about it.
no. No. That was not bringing out the creepy men to the theater. Like,
Right.
and that's my thing. Also, the trigger warning that they show before the film in theaters, I think is a joke.
I don't even remember
If you're,
that.
yeah,
I
now
didn't
there's,
see the beginning portion because we were late from concessions and like it was a whole ordeal. So I didn't get to see the first beginning portion, which I want to see the film again just to see the different layers of that because I have no idea what you were even talking about.
yeah, they do a trigger warning at the beginning now. I don't think they started doing it in the beginning,
Oh,
but they
Okay.
started
okay.
doing it where it says the film you're about to watch is going to depict sexual violence and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But it, or like gore and blood and like, but the
Right.
way it was
Okay.
worded, I saw someone posted a picture of it, and the way that it's worded is almost like, isn't this exciting? Not,
Oh.
it,
Interesting.
it's almost like a way of like, and I heard some other women saying that they were uncomfortable in the film in the theater after that because they started to notice the men that were watching this movie alone.
Oh.
And
Oh, that's yeah, not what
and
I
to me,
was going for.
that's not, and I know you can't control your audience,
Sure.
but to
Yeah.
me that felt like a marketing ploy rather than an actual
Hmm.
trigger warning.
Good call.
And I'm just not as, I don't know. It just, I have not been like on this whole like rah rah rah. I feel like, yeah, the substance was spoke to me as a woman or as my, like, if anything, the last showgirl did. And I know you guys haven't seen it,
Yeah,
but
I need to
in my
see that.
opinion, and I'm not like saying like I mean, I've grown up saying Quentin Tarantino is my favorite filmmaker. I have no problem with blood and gore and like even violence in films. I've never been one to like shy away from that or think that that was, but I will say that we all have the times change, our minds can change, we grow, we change.
Of course.
I I still see like Kill Bill is still volume 1 and volume 2 is one of my favorite, especially female empowerment. I hate, like a female. Oh, I hate that word. Maybe I just hate it when men say it, but it's weird. But like just the whole like, but Quentin Tarantino, I guess I just feel like times have changed and maybe I feel like we don't need more. Like I'm not, again, I don't want to not sound like a boomer, and I've never been one to say it's the video games and violence that make us this terrible society. I don't think that. But I do think that perhaps after everything we've been through as a people, maybe we just don't need so much. Like, I
Hmm.
understand control, like when you're seeing violence on TV and you're going to a horror film, it's controlled. You are in control of it. It's not actually happening to you. And these things that you're seeing in the film and that are happening in the film are not real. They're fake. And and you control when you watch it and where you watch it and how you watch it. And that's part of why we are able to view and see the things and put ourselves through these experiences, is because we are in control of them, which I understand. And I don't think we could ever get away from telling important stories, telling the stories we want to tell. If we did say we shouldn't have violence and all these things, like we should just stay away from it altogether. But I think that if we are trying to tell important messages with important stories, and again, this is subjective. This is my opinion. I just, for my art, who I am, and I feel like the things we need to be putting out there, we don't need more violence, sexual violence. We don't need more blood and gore and horribleness. And problems than we already see on the news with our own eyes. Like, it didn't used to be that way. Like, I mean, seeing like Rodney King on television when I was really little and all of that happened, that was
monumental.
yeah, and it shook me.
Mm-hmm.
But now we see that every day on TV. And so I don't think we need it in our movies as much. Like I am more of now yeah, I feel like you can still tell the story without showing it.
Yeah, agreed.
And, my mom had an aversion to guns. She did not like guns. She did not want to see guns. She did not want to. And in a movie, if someone even it could be a comedy. If someone pulled out a gun, she would go, ooh. And it would just be the sight of the gun would make her go, ooh. And I used to make fun of her for it. But I get it. And I see now that maybe this is just me being an extremely empathetic and I'm grown, and maybe it's me as a mom now, and maybe it's me just as from all this other perspective, that I just seeing something like The Substance now, I get it and I appreciate it, and I still can view it as the art that it is. But in my opinion, it's not what I see as this great depiction of for women, and that's just me. That's just, I think that it's an important story, but more so, and I know that they wanted to portray her as the victim of these shareholders and these old, creepy, disgusting white men. And they tried to show that in the film. But I just saw, my take of it was just our vanity and what we value as a society. And sure, I mean, in my opinion, it wasn't that I didn't feel sorry for her, but I don't know. I didn't. And maybe it was that the film was just more like a music video and I had no real emotional connection to her as a person, because it did just feel like a very sleekly done music video.
There was
so
nobody
I really
to emotionally, like, you don't really like her because she seems super vain. And
right. But then you go, oh, but she's a victim. She's been treated this way, and she's been treated like all she is just this beautiful thing that only matters when she's young and beautiful, and then she's thrown away, and that's terrible. But at the same time, I felt like it just, as an actress, maybe this is personally why I feel this too, is that as an actor growing up as a teenager, I had such a strong desire to make sure that people knew that I was more than just an actress, and that I was not just this vapid, shallow, thing that people thought I was. And I wanted people, and I feel like that's why a lot of actors do lots of charity and are very philanthropic and seem to be a bleeding heart, is because there is that stereotype of that we are these shallow, vain people who only care about ourselves and looking at ourselves on TV and in mirrors, and that's not who we are. And I feel like, which we already talked about earlier, of being an artist and all of those things, like, it's like I used to want, and I still do, but I feel like, I've moved way past that. But like, I feel like there's so much of us that, it's like, to be viewed as the worst thing that could ever happen to me is to be told that I'm no longer young and hot. I feel like if you are truly someone who values more, you don't even, like, of course, I feel like we've just gotten past that. I feel like we don't need to be beholden to, we don't need to be victims to these gross old boomer shareholder men who want to treat us like we are nothing but good to them unless we're young and hot. I just, in my mind, I'm just like, I looked at her and I was just like, girl, so just like, fuck those guys. Like, don't let them get to you, baby. Like, I don't know, like in my head, it was just like, is it really, like, Yeah, like it was just like I really don't feel sorry for you because you should know better that these like don't do that to yourself, girl. Like I don't know, like in my
What's funny is, and I'll make this anecdote, and then I want to get your thoughts on me. Is I remember Demi Moore in GI Jane, that was late '90s, mid '90s, something like that.
it was mid
Mid
90s. Yeah, I
'90s.
was in elementary school.
I remember the whole marketing, and it just shows you the how things have changed, or maybe not even.
Hmm.
The whole thing was like, guys, she cut her hair off for this.
Hmm.
Whoa! Can
Yep.
you
She showed
believe
her
it?
whole head. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't believe
exactly.
it. That is
It was the
But
same
I was,
for V for
yeah,
Vendetta
wild.
with Natalie Portman.
yeah,
And they made it the same thing with Natalie Portman.
That's wild, guy. And that was the whole thing. It wasn't like that's wild because it represents
Yeah.
something. It was just like that's crazy. She must be wow. Anyway, that's an
Yeah.
interesting anecdote. But I mean, what
Yep.
do you think of the substance?
I love it because of how much people talk about it, and I think that's a big like as a social commentary film. It's not perfect, obviously. From my experience, Matt and I went to the theater, and the sound was really interesting to me of just how they played with the noise, whatever that.
Loved the sound and the
Yeah,
substance.
so
Yes.
the audio post production of it was amazing. Again, I didn't get to see the very beginning portion, so I hate that because was trying so hard to get to the seats. But it was a full house at our theater, which I thought was amazing and really cool to see another film brought people out like during a time that was really needed. And I don't know, I just feel like overall from my personal experience of it was just that like it's a love note to the patriarch. It's a love note to a French director's version of just hitting men over the head, whether they want it or not, and using their own language in a way, because a visual as well as artistic.
Hmm.
And I don't like horror films. I mean, I respect the fuck out of them as an art form and people who work in them. And I've worked on indie horror films before, and they're fun to do on set. But I'm so I'm so sensitive to triggers and blood and just like too much of anything like violence. It's just not my thing because exactly what you said before, which is always on our phones now and on 24/7, and it's just too
Right.
much. But for some reason, this film wasn't like that for me, and maybe it's because of how I first became aware of it, which was all through men that came up to me, like, "You've got to see this," and I'm so sorry you guys go through this, and blah blah blah, and I was just like,
Huh.
wow, I had to take a step
Hmm.
back,
Huh.
and because it was so consistent, and it was only men for me, I had no women come up to me and say it until I
Same.
started researching more.
Well, but me and you, yeah, we talked
Right,
about
but
it.
then
But
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But other than that, nobody. And I just thought, wow, this is a first experience for me, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of people that males are coming up to women saying things that they were so pushed to, and I'm curious about why that is.
You're
And I
right.
thought that
And
was very
I
powerful.
yep.
And like the blood scene was like the Carrie blood scene kind of thing.
Hmm.
There's a lot of paying homage to, and Matt was
Yep.
initially like, okay, what? This is come on, like this is forever now. I was like, yeah, you don't like a lot of blood? Well, we have to deal with a lot of blood our whole fucking life. So you
Yeah.
can watch this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever the fuck was made because
Yeah.
it was things like that. Like I saw men squirming in their seats and feeling uncomfortable. And like
I get
I
that.
was like,
Yeah.
that's interesting to me that like this art piece is making people feel things. I don't like the creepy old men coming to see it by themselves apart, but
Yeah.
there's others that are being pushed in ways that they never had to feel before. It feels like,
Hmm.
especially from a female film
Hmm.
persona. So that I loved about it as an art piece in film house, but it definitely has moments where it's like
Yeah.
why
I
do you
think
feel for her other than her taking herself apart literally
I
and
think you I
some other
think you
stuff like that.
touched on this on the it speaking to them in their language. Like Eric said, The Last Showgirl isn't a movie that men are going to go see.
Right.
And you're right. The Substance is a film that men are going to feel fine going to see because
Yeah,
it's like,
horror, gore, and women.
That's interesting.
yeah,
I didn't think of it that way.
no, that's 100%. And Eric brought that up yesterday because we were comparing the two films, and I think just as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
probably
it's not for
something
women.
like The Last Showgirl speaks to
Right.
me more
Absolutely.
because it's soft, it's pretty, it's beautiful, it's very aesthetic,
Drudgery.
is very pink and
Yeah.
soft and sparkly, and
Yeah.
it's a very feminine film. It's a very feminine film. And The Substance is not. The Substance is a very like cut, dry, hard, dark. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna shove it in your face. Like, and,
That
yeah,
is so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And a man has no problem buying a ticket saying, "I'll take one for The Substance." Whereas if a man
Right.
says, "I'll take one for The
Because of
Last
the title.
Showgirl," right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very true. Very, very true. And we need that. We need men. We need men going to see that, and we need men feeling that, and we need them to go,
Right.
you didn't like seeing that? That made you uncomfortable? Yeah. Well,
Too much.
guess
Too much,
what?
yeah.
But see, then I just also didn't like the aspect of like, because I have heard other people say, well, she was just vain. Like, she was just a vain woman who was just, and it's like, we also, women
Why
are,
is she vain?
right.
I thought the film did a pretty I think the film did do a pretty good job of showing how she got to that spot.
Yes, Which the men, yeah. I mean, they didn't shy away from showing how gross and disgusting and, um, abusive the men were to her. And that was very clear, thank God. I think that, and that's the other thing though, is that I don't want, because there is a sense of, like, I hate it when, and it's always out of very nice, but like, I shouldn't say I hate it, but it's like when men say, like, if I'm saying, "Oh, I'll be ready, I'm putting my makeup on." And I'll hear like, "Oh, you don't need to wear all that makeup. You're pretty without it." And it's like, I don't want there to be, I don't want anyone to think that we do this for them, because we don't. I don't put my makeup on for you. I don't get pretty for you. I'm doing it for me. I do it because I like the way I look, and I do it because I feel pretty. But I don't ever want men to think that that poor us, we have to put this makeup on and do all this for them. Like, no, sweetie, don't worry. It's not for you. This is for me. But I do think that there is obviously like a huge, when we talk about how we are, like, when you think about all the things that women have always done and that we still do to cater to men or to make men more comfortable, like, there's definitely, or to appease the men, to be prettier for the men, to be, sure, like, smile more, you're prettier when you smile, like all that kind of stuff, like, fuck that. But I do think that, I don't know, there's a lot worth talking about like, the beauty industry, how they do, like if a woman is to get plastic surgery, if a woman is to get something done on her face, on one hand, you can be told, good for her. If she wants, let her do her thing. If she wants a different nose, go let her get a different nose. Leave her alone. You are not her. But then there's also that other side of it is, oh, did she feel like she had to go get that new nose because of the terrible men out there? And it's like, I don't know. There's a balance between, like, I am not going to shame or judge, or, everyone should be able to do whatever they want. But then there's the whole other thing of this predatory beauty industry, and unhealthy, toxic standards that we all, so it's, I think there's a huge discussion that can be had because of the Substance. And in Hollywood, my other thing that I was going to say is that Hollywood loves to sort of, oh God, I don't know. What's the, like,
Let's race with Sound it out.
Like, okay, I know I want to say this because I know this is all going out to the world, so I don't want anyone to
Okay.
misconstrue what I'm saying
Very good
as
point.
being, yeah. I want to be very, very clear, um, in that, like, the diversity. So and please, like, I am not saying that there is anything wrong. Please, there needs to be more diversity. Diversity is good. Diversity is beautiful. But the way Hollywood goes about talking about these issues and the way Hollywood goes about implementing these things can be even more tone deaf and I think toxic than the actual issues that they're trying to tackle. So the Me Too, the Me Too movement, if that's what you want to call it, the substance is like a perfect, example of what we've been talking about. They even had a character, the guy, Dennis Quaid's character is named Harvey, so,
Subtle.
so that's obviously, yes, yeah. So, my thing is, okay, Hollywood, don't you start fucking up this message because
Yeah.
because it's like I really what we're trying to say here as women, as whatever, it's like you don't want, well, we can't control how people feel, but I just don't want it to get to that place where it's, which we're already in a new territory, we're in a new world where men are going to feel much more
Emboldened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good word.
Sure. Already are.
And so, we are going to have a lot to fight against, and I don't, but at the same time, I don't know. I think that Hollywood could try now with the substance having such big and everyone's talking about it, and I will say that I'm very happy that everyone's talking about it, but also Hollywood tends to do this thing where they push something because they go, oh, this is so we can cover our own ass, and this is so right now we can look like we're pushing this message really big right now. Oh, yay, the substance, yay, the substance,
Look how
the substance.
progressive we are.
This movie is about them. This movie is about the men who are nominating Demi Moore. This movie is about the men who are putting her up there on that podium. So don't for a second think that they don't know that and that they're not really pushing this because they're seeing this as a way for them to cover their own ass. And they're seeing this as a way for them to sort of go, ooh, yes, good. Like making the Green Book win Best Picture. Like, it was not the best picture. I'm sorry, it wasn't. But
it reminds me of, it's similarly related. Whenever
hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. I just wanted for breaking news, but just let you know about the fires that just started up. Please. It looks like it's getting really bad.
Oh shit.
So just to keep up to date, I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Great. Yeah, I see. They're calling it the Hughes fire.
Damn it! Really?
I don't know if it's getting towards people. I was going to say.
No, I know. Yeah, I can do that now. I can tune this. Yeah. Sorry, just
you're totally fine.
No. Yeah.
I don't anymore, but I don't know.
And we're almost done with this anyway. But
yeah.
This is a really great conversation. I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much.
I'm putting it on my TV.
Yeah, ditto.
On mute, but
Well, while y'all look at that, the thing that conversation reminded me of is when Barbie was really successful and movie studios were like, well, that means that they want movies about toys, right?
Right, and now we've got a Polly Pocket movie coming, and freaking like Hot Wheels.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Hot Wheels one's silly, but the Polly Pocket, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to shoehorn in some really progressive message. And it's like,
oh, they will.
That's not. Yeah, that's why we liked Barbie, but that's not what Polly Pocket. Like, you're just doing this just to show off.
Right. Like the creator of Polly Pocket didn't create Polly Pocket because of some.
Right.
Or maybe she did. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'd be surprised. But
right.
Or it's like, well, we gotta what's really hip right now is casting a lot of black people, so it's all black
Right.
people now, right? As opposed
Right.
to wanting to tell the actual story.
Right.
It's doing
Exactly.
doing something progressive because it's trendy
Right. And
and showing
my
off
other
the.
thing is, yes, and my other thing is they tend to choose these stories like if you're going to tell, which as a white woman, I'm probably not the best person to speak on this, but my thing is just, you know, if you're going to, there's other black stories besides stories of
Mhm.
slaves.
Mhm.
There's other black stories of people other than being oppressed. And I mean, sure, they've all, but people are just saying like, tell other stories, like tell stories about the people that, you know, we want to, not just watching people be tortured and treated like, you know, that did happen and we all know that, but what are the stories that we don't know? And obviously there's people out there that should hear those stories a little more, but as a woman, I guess for me, like I said again, and I probably don't need to say it anymore, but I understand the substance and I appreciate it for what it is, and I'm stoked, just like I am about Barbie, that it was out there and that people are saying these things and talking about these things, and I'm like, I am the biggest, like, you know, The Shining is one of my favorite films. It's right there. Requiem for a Dream is one of my favorite films. It's right there. 2001, you know, right there. I mean, all my favorite movies she like put into the substance. So it's like, well, of course this is going to be an incredible film to me. Of course. And for all the other reasons too. I just I want to make sure that it's um like I have any control over this, but Reagan's going to make sure that it is being that it's going to get followed up. Oh, you can see the smoke in the sky.
Ah, shit, you can.
Fuck, yeah, it
Yeah,
looks really bad.
it's really bad. The winds are not helping. It's really bad winds.
Well,
Yeah.
we can call it. That's fine by me.
Sorry, no, I'm fine. I'm just saying what I'll just finally say is I I think that okay, so there's what I will celebrate more than anything right now is that Gia Coppola is also a woman director, and so is the director of The Substance. And whatever, even if those movies weren't strong, empowering films about women, the fact that women are out there directing movies and being celebrated, and they're being seen, and they're being talked about and nominated, and all of that, I think is just and there's more. There's it's you know, we are it's a crazy time because, you know, it's like we can look at we're going into a very uncertain, scary time as of January 20th. But I think that we are also, just like we've seen out of every, you know, throughout history, art prevails during the darkest times.
Thank you for saying that. You're so right. Throughout history, centuries upon centuries. Exactly.
Yep. We have had the best films, the best music, the best art, the best come from every tumultuous time throughout history. And I think that watching something like The Brutalist, which is all about, you know, the architecture that came out after World War II, and you know, I think that, you know, we're in it. We're in it right now. This is the time. This is happening. We're not just on the cusp of it. We're not just
We're in it.
on the precipice of it. We're in it, and we're doing it.
We're the front lines.
And yeah,
as it were.
And you know, I'm working on this one woman show, but it's not necessarily the 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 crux of it isn't activism, but it's still activism to me to tell my story and my mom's story, because it is a story of women in this world who My mom was, and this is what I will say, if you see The Last Showgirl, I think this is why it speaks to me. The Last Showgirl speaks to me on multiple levels. I mean, you really, really need to see it because I know you will just be like, oh my God. But, Pam Anderson's character, views what she does as a showgirl as something much deeper than those around her perceive it to be. She, when people shit on her show, which she has to defend it a lot throughout the movie, she's constantly defending why she loves doing what she does. And people will be like, it's just a fucking titty show. It's just a fucking nudie show. Like, and she goes, no, this show has roots in France. And she talks about, she loves what the show means. She calls herself an ambassador to the rest of the world for elegance and style and grace. And she really, truly, truly does feel this deeply. She even sacrificed her own relationship with her own daughter to be a part of this show. And her daughter, spoilers, her daughter, really holds it against her, saying like, you could have gotten a normal job. Why couldn't you have gone to be a cashier somewhere and still been with me? But her mom saw this show as something great and something bigger than herself. And my mom had to defend what she was doing with me in that same way all the time. It was constant. Sylvia, it's Hollywood, get back to stop it. I mean, that can't be good for her. And it can't be, and it's a gamble, I mean, what are the odds? I mean, who says she's going to be famous? She's not going to be famous, and it was that stuff all the time.
Life in small town Texas is so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to be fair, I grew up in Sonoma County, and it's like you don't talk about things that you don't brag about yourself when you get things, or like
Right.
you have an agent in San Francisco now. Well, that's cool, but what else do you do? Like,
Right.
they're not taken seriously, and like that's the beauty of Los Angeles, the city of
Yes.
angels, where
Yes.
there's magic here, and people can shit on it all they want, especially if you don't live here or have never lived here, or it's
Yep.
not for you. But
That's why my mom.
Not true. It's like
Yeah.
this is a magical place because of that.
Yes.
In that sense, it is real.
It is. And that's why my mom loved being here in LA, and because she didn't have people constantly around her telling her what a dumb idea it was, that what she was doing. People accepted it here and treated it like it was a real thing that people do, that it wasn't just crazy. And it was a real business that she was operating. And, I think for me watching, and The Last Showgirl, just the aesthetic is it's so pretty and it's so sparkly and light and soft and beautiful. And my mom loved things that were light and soft and beautiful and pretty and shiny. And I feel like, it reminds me, just watching it, and I think on a personal level, that's also just why that film resonates with me. And I'm not, the only reason I'm comparing The Substance and The Last Showgirl is because there's two very obvious actresses who were very famous a long time ago, who are now sort of making a comeback with these respective pieces, and they both are very similar.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think that with The Last Showgirl, it's for me, it is it's telling a story, and I'm writing my show, so there is a lot of just telling a story about someone who, in the face of judgment and the face of what everyone else around her is telling her should be normal and should be okay, she was brave enough and courageous enough to say, I don't care what you think. This is my opinion. This is how I feel. And fuck you, respectfully. So, I mean, I feel like, that was my mom. And now I sort of have this like, you know what? And Pam's character it is subjective because you can say, yeah, that is a titty show. That is a nudie Vegas showgirl show. And she had a kid. And as a mom, she should have taken her priorities and gone, you know what? I need to go raise my daughter and quit this idea of being a star of this show. So you could, yeah, like there's people that could look at that character and label her as a narcissist. But like the writer said, I don't want to label her as that, but you could look at it that way. If the movie were made by her daughter, if the movie were shown from her daughter's perspective, how different would this film have been? So it's all about, that's why I love just going back to just what we do as artists in simpler terms. That's why I love doing what we do, because we tell stories, and we tell stories. You can only, when you're telling a story, you're telling it from a perspective. Some films, some stories tell stories from multiple perspectives, but when you're telling a story, generally you're telling it from someone's perspective. And you can tell stories from so many different perspectives. And I think that what we're doing here is exploring all the things that we're exploring it all here. And I think that as artists, all three of us, what we all have to offer, each one of us is so unique. Everyone is. And that's another thing about telling these solo shows and telling stories, is that like, it doesn't matter that someone else has told a story that's similar, or you feel like, because every story, every person's perspective, everything is totally 100% uniquely true to you. And I think that we are on the path to telling some really cool stories, and just being able to connect with other people out there who want to hear them and want to do the same thing.
Yeah, so if I mean, you see how we look, and you can guesstimate the lives that we've led. So if you are out there and you have an idea, if Trump is attacking your community, or if whatever's
Yeah.
happening, and you want, if you have an idea for a film, throw it our way. We're writing from our own perspective, so we do as best as we can. But obviously, those aren't our lives to be lived. So if you have ideas, or if you're not being attacked and you just have a cool idea that would make a good movie too, let's collaborate. Write us a comment, subscribe, share stuff, do all the things, send us an email, do all the things. So.
And may I just add,
yes,
for
please.
historical documentation purposes, that's an honor to talk to you all on this today together, with our mission intent, with it being the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, when it was originally came out on January 22nd, 1973, before, of course, it was taken away.
Everyone go watch our film Subjugate. It's on our YouTube channel. That kind of, it's all about Roe and being overturned, and the existence in Texas, and that's what started this whole venture. So go
and that's
go find that on YouTube. It's called Subjugate.
Yeah,
slay
the patriarchy. I will say, I just in comment on that and everything, is that I keep hearing, like, I keep hearing a lot about how dangerous and all of this stuff that a lot of what Trump is doing right now is, and there's like a million things with like ICE and all the stuff that's like literally happening right now that is actually like very scary and all of that. But I haven't heard a lot of people talking about just where we're at on the abortion front.
Well, it wasn't in any of his executive orders, not yet.
No, not yet. Not yet.
But he signed like 200 of them, so yeah, I don't know.
But the thing is that everyone needs to also know that a lot of those are just for show.
Oh, for
Executive
sure.
orders
Yeah, for
really
sure.
don't mean anything. They still need congressional backing and all of that. And there's a bunch of them. Like birthright citizenship cannot be ended with an executive order.
No.
Period. That does not happen.
Constitution.
It's literally in our Constitution. That's literally what makes America America. Is that if you're born here, you're an American. Period. That's just the
You
way
need to
it
read
is.
the Constitution.
Oh, did you know they took it off the? If you go to whitehouse.gov, there is no longer a copy of the Constitution or the Bill of
Yeah,
Rights.
they took it off. They
Yeah,
also
it's
got
gone.
rid of their Spanish language version of the whitehouse.org or gov. There's no Spanish language version.
They replaced it
They
all
took
with
the
military,
Constitution and the Bill of Rights off the White House government website, the official
They
website.
did.
That's
and they replaced it with military propaganda and the Hunger Games soundtrack. So you're
the
welcome,
Hunger Games
America.
soundtrack.
Literally, if you go to whitehouse.gov, it literally sounds like you are watching the Hunger Games
Oh, I see,
DVD
I
menu.
see.
That's weird.
Holy moly, fuck!
I mean, you know,
Just wear
it's
fucking Darth Vader's outfit by now. Why not?
I just don't
Yeah.
remember. What was the last time you used a website that started playing music automatically? It was like the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody does that anymore, except for, obviously.
Man.
But honestly, I just, I want everyone to know, like, that's everyone, all of the people who are watching, that, it's, we are no longer, I don't care what anyone says. We're not like on the verge of fascism. We're not like on the precipice. We're in it. We are literally now living in a fascist country, and we literally have a fascist government. We are the fact that Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they weren't just there. They were seated with his family.
Mhm.
These are not elected officials. These are not people that the people voted for.
Nope. Oligarchy.
The
And the
only one that
people,
wasn't there was Bill Gates, and he's the one that everyone hates for some reason.
yeah.
Everyone, the conservatives.
Well,
I mean, not everyone, but
yeah, I could say some stuff too, but there's, yeah, and that's the thing is that, there's nuance in everything. People don't really want to, it's not very easy to get the masses on board with nuance, but yeah, I know we've gone way beyond what I think we were even trying
yeah. So
to
thanks
do
everybody
tonight,
for
but
watching.
yes.
Please share, subscribe. We're on
Oh,
Twitch. We're
next
on
part-
Blue Sky.
part two. Blue Sky, yes.
And
Yeah.
on the YouTube. So we're trying to get away from social media because not only is it being taken over by right wingers, but also
I guess we're trying to get away from Meta. I think,
Meta,
yeah.
But
Owning our
it's
own
also just
territory.
bad for us, as a society.
It is.
Yeah.
It's good to take a break from the social media shit because it's addictive and it's bad.
I know we say it's bad for us, but I do want to say and I know all the studies that are out there, but I have had many a relationship throughout my life with people that is strictly only through social media.
Sure.
I've never met them in person, and I think that social media does serve purposes that we have now been. So I don't think we're necessarily.
It needs regulation.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and
the
there
tool
needs.
itself is amazing when used properly or
right
to people in the real way.
And I think that like MySpace, like there was no regulation on MySpace. It was just the fact that I don't know what it was. I don't know because I think I don't know. I feel like
Tom.
it was
Tom.
It was just a better. It was just a simpler time. I don't know. I do sound like a boomer. It's hard not to.
Well,
when
it's also our right to. We're just we're at a time of a lot of experience of different unprecedented.
Yeah, but I never want, I don't ever want, I don't ever want to sound like I don't like I get it. Like I get, but I sound like such a boomer lately with like the whole TikTok stuff and all that. I'm just like, oh, who needs it? You know, but I mean, yeah, I think that we'll see. Like I'm wondering if I am gonna even stay on Facebook and Instagram for much longer. I don't know,
So
depending on what happens. But right now it's my only tool for like promoting things and it's like, so
that's the frustrating part about it is your hands are tied behind your back kind of thing. For the business purpose of what we do as well. You know, like
yeah,
if you can help yourself by just putting up business stuff, then cool. But I know it's really hard for a lot of us to be like, but then this happened today and this happened today, and I'm
I know.
outraged.
I know. And it's also just like,
But yeah.
yeah, it's hard because I don't know, it's like if I'm not on Facebook or Instagram and I'm, trying to promote a show that I want people to buy tickets to, and we're trying to get
Right.
people to watch our thing, and we're trying, it's like,
Well, because
yeah,
you want to return to an era that you could do it in real life. You could promote things in real life. That era doesn't really exist anymore.
no,
I mean,
no,
it could. Maybe. I mean,
it
maybe
does,
you have
but you
this.
just have to,
I don't know what those tools are. You know, I was talking with. I was doing. We will end this. I was
yes,
talking with
I know.
a musician friend, and he was like, "Man, 10 years ago, it was my band. We were putting flyers up and handing them out, and like literally, it was the old school in person.
Yeah.
Hey, man, blah 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 blah, or like putting it
Yep.
on the
CDs
flagpoles.
to people. Here, take my CD.
Yeah, I think for me, getting people to come see my show in 2023, like what, like promoting and trying to get it is just talking to. It's like when you're out about in your regular everyday life, it's like connecting with your person who cuts your hair,
Right.
connecting with the person who, and literally just doing that kind of one-on-one personal connection.
It's about
That's,
the community, finding your community, and
yep,
that's what we do here at Ripple. That's
Yes.
the whole point of it.
that's right.
All
It
right.
is.
Okay, guys, I'm ending it.
All right. All right.
Thanks.
All right,
We'll,
well, thank
we'll
you
do
for
this again.
Bye.
Hopefully Wednesdays.
Supporting.
Yes.
That seems to work out for our schedule, so we'll do it again next Wednesday.
Yep.
Follow, comment, all the things. Thanks, everybody.
All the things.
Stay safe, be well.
Stay safe, be well. Bye.
Days now. I don't think in us 3 years to reflect the times.
Is political in the most profound sense. Not as a weapon in the struggle, but as an instrument of understanding of the futility of struggle.
We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore.